If you're a football fan, you've inevitably heard of or maybe even seen the movie The Underdog. It's the story of Kurt Warner, how he was one day packing shelves in a grocery store to not long thereafter winning the Super Bowl for the St. Louis Cardinals. An amazing story. And he did it one step at a time, into arena football, throwing touchdowns all over the place, trying out for the Cards, and then man, oh man, did he ever make an impact. It was the most unlikely of stories. Hollywood made a movie of it. It's the thing of legend. But there's an even better underdog story, and it's found in 1 Samuel 17. It's a story of a little shepherd boy, maybe in his mid to late teens, I don't know, of regular size, and a regular size of that time was probably about 5'2", 5'3", and he's going up against a giant that some reports have as tall as 9'6", anywhere from almost 7 feet to 9'6". Big guy, big. I mean, if you look at how much his armor weighed, and he's a soldier, he's got to be able to move, so he's got to be able to carry that with speed. How big his spear was. Spears weren't for throwing, they were for thrusting. The guy was massive. He was huge. But this is a story of that little boy, that shepherd boy, not a soldier, not a member of the military, a shepherd boy. It's about that shepherd boy and how he came to face off with this seasoned killer, this trained professional, military guy, spec ops, the whole thing. And how he went against him, not with a shield and with armor, but with a sling and 5 stones. As the story goes, Goliath, this giant from Gath, and the Philistine army were facing off against the Israelites. He was taunting them. He was mocking them. He was mocking their God. And this went on for days and weeks. And all he wanted was for one guy to show up and fight him. Mano a mano, one-on-one, hand-to-hand. Nobody would do it. Everybody saw him and freaked out. And then one day, at the request of his father, David goes to the army, the battle lines, because he's bringing cheese and foodstuffs for his brothers and for the king, Saul. And he says, what's all the commotion? And this giant is taunting. He's taunting Yahweh. He's taunting the armies of Israel. And David says, who is this guy? How dare he? He took offense at that. And what happens next changes history forever. Why? Because he gets taken to Saul, and he says, don't worry about this guy. Don't worry about this uncircumcised Philistine. I'm going to deal with it. He's taunting the armies of the living God. I will not stand for it. Saul says, yeah, you're too young. He's been a warrior since he was your age. You're not in the same league. David says, I did the bear. I killed the lion. They're no match for me. Neither will this guy, because he's taunting the name of Yahweh. And Saul, in his somewhat less than infinite wisdom, says, well, here, at least wear my armor. Now remember, Saul was no slouch of a guy when it comes to height either. Heads and shoulders above all the rest of them. David, probably not so much. Well, he can't move in this armor. It's too big. He needs to be able to be mobile, to be quick and agile. He says, no, I can't. It's too big. And so says, okay, well, go ahead. God be with you. And David goes down to the brook, the old riverbed, picks up 5 smooth stones. Why 5? Did you know that Goliath had 4 brothers? Did David see the 4 brothers in the battle line? Don't know. Did he know this in advance? Don't know, but he picked up 5. And it was very interesting, the whole story behind that. We'll get to that a little bit later. But he goes into battle, and David and Goliath says, how dare you guys send this dog to me? Throw bones. I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to give your head to the beasts of the field and the birds. And David says, no. You have defied the armies of Yahweh, the host of Yahweh. You will not do that on my watch. I will cut your head off, and I will give you to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field. The battle is the Lord's. David didn't have fear, and if he did, he hid it well. But he looked to Yahweh. He was a defender of the faith in the truest sense, defending the name, the good name of the Lord his God. So he didn't see an unbeatable giant. He sees an uncircumcised Philistine who is defying the armies of the living God. Now, let's get into the battle. It was not a military contest by any stretch of the imagination. It was a spiritual battle. Make no mistake about it. The Spirit of God was with David. And it was the Spirit of God who wrought a great victory that day. His victory was a direct result, a direct fulfillment of the Genesis 3:15 prophecy, where the seed of the woman would crush the head of the seed of the serpent, and Goliath was that seed. It didn't happen that day, but over the course of David's life, his mighty men went and dispatched the remaining Rephaim, brothers of Goliath. It lists them in 2 Samuel and in Chronicles, but they're all dead. He wiped out the demonic seed. In the physical realm, that is so important. We're going to get into this later. But it is so important to understand the spiritual aspect of David's work that he did in the physical realm. So the Davidic covenant, God's promise, he promises David, because of David's faithfulness, he makes an unconditional promise to him in 2 Samuel 7. He's going to give him a great name. He's going to secure a place for Israel. God will plant Israel in their own land, and they will no longer be disturbed by violent men. He's going to provide David with a house, the house of David, a royal divine dynasty. It will endure forever. He will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. He will establish an eternal kingdom through David, which introduces us to the Messianic hope. The Messianic hope that's found in Jesus. It becomes the foundation for all future Messianic hope in Israel. The people begin to wait for the Son of David. And we will see when we go through the book of Matthew how the Son of David motif in the Messianic profile becomes so pronounced when Jesus is casting out demons, the demon seed that are wandering the earth, oppressing people. But the Son of David is going to be their future king, and he will reign in righteousness and in holiness forever. So David is a foreshadowing of this Messiah. Admittedly, he was a flawed hero. There was the adultery with Bathsheba, the subsequent murder of her husband Uriah. There was the ordering of the census, which led to the death of many thousands, tens of thousands of Israelites. But remember that David was a man after God's own heart. Did that mean he didn't sin? Of course not. But what it did mean is that when he did sin, he didn't blame anybody like Adam, but it was the woman that you gave me, she made me. No. When Nathan confronted David with his sin, he said, it is against God alone that I have sinned. And then we get Psalm 51, which is arguably one of the most beautiful psalms of repentance. But he's pointing to Jesus. His life, his reign, his actions all pointed to Jesus, to foreshadow the true king. David was a shepherd. Jesus, the good shepherd. David defeated the physical demonic seed. Jesus would defeat the spiritual powers of darkness, take authority over that demonic seed. David established a physical kingdom. Jesus establishes a spiritual kingdom. David was the son of God by adoption. Jesus was the Son of God by nature. In summary, David was a pivotal figure who cleansed the land of the giants and received the promise of an eternal kingdom. He was a type, a shadow of the true Messianic king to come.